Nick McCallum reporting from Hollywood there. Well, of course we know women can do anything, but I've got a question for you. Who complains more, men or women? And when it comes to complaining about bad service or products, do Australians feel comfortable speaking up? And do the companies take any notice anyhow? These questions and more will be answered this morning with the release of the National Complaints Culture Survey. For more, we're joined now by Brett Whitford from the Customer Service Institute of Australia. Brett, thanks for joining us this morning. Tell me about the overall trends. Are we complaining more or less?
Absolutely. People are much more prepared to complain than ever before. Australians are, though, more tolerant generally than people around the world. We are finding that we're a bit more reluctant to give people a hard time. I think it comes back to our laid-back attitudes.
Okay, so we're less likely to complain about something than, for example, Americans or British or Europeans?
Absolutely. At the moment, the TMI Customer Service Institute of Australia survey looked at Australia and other organisations around the globe. Other customer service institutes look globally at how internationally they complain, and comparing Australia with international, we found that we're a bit more laid back, but also we are quite demanding. I think the Olympics showed that.
That's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, if something's wrong, if something's crook, we should complain about it, surely.
Precisely. And I think it's more scary for organisations who, when people don't complain, they actually leave the organisation and never heard from again. So organisations really need to be encouraging you to complain.
Yeah. Men and women, I'm almost afraid to ask, who complains more?
Well, who do you think, Richard?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I mean,
unfortunately, the survey results did show the stereotype that women do complain more than men, only slightly. But it
about what? About what sort of things?
Well,
goods and services and...
Yeah, the survey looked at areas like communications, healthcare, government. There was a lot of feedback in varieties of areas. We've sort of looked across the board at why people complain and how they complain, and how responsive organisations are. And I think one of the main interesting things were that people want to actually complain in person. Men particularly want to complain in person, whereas women are more comfortable complaining on the telephone. And we found that men would say that it was too much trouble to complain, whereas women found that time was the biggest constraint they had on actually making complaints when they got bad service.
So guys are just sort of thinking, oh, that's too much trouble, they won't listen to me anyway.
Exactly.
What is the most effective way of complaining about, for example, shonky goods or services? Writing to the boss or one-on-one with the person you're face-to-face with? Well,
I tell you the way not to complain at the moment is via e-commerce, because organisations are having a real hard time dealing with that. For example, we haven't done studies here, but the American results came back, and Macy's.com, the big retailer, a simple request was made: do you have any bed frames? They got back with an automatic response saying, we'll get back to you in 24 hours. Unfortunately, 5 days and 14 minutes later, the response turned up. And I think that's a real challenge. I mean, we at Customer Service Institute of Australia have identified e-commerce as a real area.
Who do you complain to about the complaints line? That's a good one, isn't it?
Well, that's pretty funny, actually. And another challenge with e-commerce is actually a lot of complaint sites are springing up. So people, right now, consumers are much more empowered. So you've got people complaining about airlines and just any of their own hobbies, and anything they're angry about, we'll get online and create a whole site that will complain about your organisation.
All right. Well, listen, I'd love to go on. Much more information I'd like to find out, but someone will complain if we too much.